Hello and welcome to the Supercast. I'm your host, Superintendent Anthony Godfrey. They followed in the footsteps of their father, dedicating their lives to careers in education. On this episode of the Supercast, we meet four sisters who recently retired after spending a combined 100 years in the classroom. It is a century of work among siblings who made a big difference in the lives of students throughout Jordan School District. We are here at Westvale Elementary to interview four sisters, one of whom has retired, three are retiring this year, and all have worked for Jordan School District for a long time. So I'm going to ask them each to introduce themselves.
I'm Margaret Chandler, and I am teaching at West Hills Middle School, and I'll have 24 years in with the district.
I'm Evelyn Morris, and I'm the one that is already retired, but I have 40 years in, and I finished up at Riverton High School.
Penny Lovato. I am retiring with 40 years, and I am at Harriman High School.
Kathy Sullivan, and I'm at Westvale Elementary, right here. I've only put in 15 years with the Jordan District.
Now, Marilyn Richards turned me on to this story, and she calls you the Quilter Sisters. Why is that?
That's our maiden name.
Our maiden name.
Oh, the Quilters. Oh, very nice.
Yes.
And how does she know all the Quilter sisters?
She taught me in junior high at West Jordan Middle School, seventh grade PE classes.
She told me about a remarkable 7th grade PE student that she taught. That must have been you, Penny.
I'm sure it was.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. How do the rest of you know Marilyn?
I went to school with one of her sisters, and that's kind of how I knew her.
Okay.
I actually had Marilyn as my 9th grade PE teacher at West Jordan Middle, and I've worked with Marilyn when she was a vice principal and when she was a principal.
Well, and then when I got out of college, my first teaching position was at West Jordan Middle, and she was a teacher there, and so we taught together for 7 years while I was there. So.
Wow. So you guys know her in lots of different ways, and she has been my boss in various ways. She was principal when I was an assistant principal at Jordan High School, and now, of course, she's on the Board of Education and decides whether I get my next contract every time, along with the other 6 board members. So we all have a close connect with her. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Tell me, each of you, a little bit about where you've taught and what your education journey has been in Jordan District and in other districts.
I've always been in the Jordan School District. Started at West Jordan Middle School and taught there for 7 years. And then I was having a family, and I'd stopped and tried to see if I could run a preschool business to stay home with my little ones. I did that for about 5 years, and that just didn't pan out. So then I got back into the district and taught at Indian Hills Middle School when they were still part of our district for 5 years. And then I jumped out again and ran a preschool business very successfully for 15 years. And then I jumped back in again and went to West Hills Middle School, and Kim Baker was the principal at that time and hired me on, and I've just been there ever since.
Okay, so, boy, I think about it, I started back in 1980.
Wow.
I know. Wow. And I always tell people when I talk about all the schools I've been at, I would get like the 7-year itch. I would just go, I just need to look at something different windows, different students, different walls, something. So I taught 7 years at Midvale Middle, and I had the opportunity to teach with my dad. Mm-hmm. That was one of the best opportunities ever.
At Midvale Middle?
At Midvale Middle.
I was principal at Midvale Middle. Years after that.
After that, I was going to say, yeah. But,
so what did you teach and what did your dad teach?
Dad taught math, and I was special ed. I've always been special ed. So, yeah, I mean, it was fun because, and challenging. My dad was old school. He didn't believe such things as learning disabilities. He thought they were just play classes. And finally convinced him, when he was struggling with a student, why don't you just refer the student? Let's test him. Let's work. And he started going through that process and I would tell him about the testing and where the student was at, and he'd go, oh, that would make sense why he's not getting it. And before he started to understand special ed.
Wow.
So it was such a growing experience for us. So that was fun. After that, I went to Mount Jordan Middle. I think I spent 8 years there. And then Maryland hired me at South Jordan Middle.
Okay.
Loved it there, but an opportunity came up to go to Genesis that was by the prison for the youth correctional program. And I jumped at that because I wanted something so different, and that was exciting. That was way exciting. So I spent 5 years there, and then I went to Riverton. Finished out. That's where I stopped. I went, I don't think I want to move one more time, so I finished out my last 12 years at Riverton.
And you retired how many years ago?
I retired in 2019, and then I took a year off, and then they called me back and said, we don't have enough online special ed teachers, so would you be willing to teach out of your basement for a year? So I did.
Wow.
It was challenging, and I have to say I would do that one again.
Really?
That was such a learning experience.
Okay. Well, I'll keep a note of that.
There you go.
Keep her in mind. Okay, so I started out teaching elementary, and also it's always been special ed. And I decided that after 6 years of elementary that I felt like I needed something more. So then I tried self-contained classroom at Jordan High, the old Jordan High.
Yeah.
Did that for a couple of years and decided that wasn't my gig. So then I transferred to Hillcrest High and did a resource setting and felt like that was my niche. And so I stayed there for, 19, 20 years at Hillcrest High, then transferred to Riverton High and then Harriman High.
Were you ever at Riverton at the same time?
Together.
We were there together.
Wow.
And darn that finally came down that said we couldn't teach together any longer.
That nepotism rascal got in the
because,
way.
Come on, we had different last names. Although we did get teach right next door to each other. But that, just like teaching...
We don't look alike.
No, no.
So what was
So you're
it like
looking at
teaching
the-
next to each other? Were you able to kind of
Oh my gosh, it
share a little
was-
bit?
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful. It was like teaching with Dad. It was like, this is such a great experience.
It was wonderful to have some of the same students and go and brainstorm, what will work? How can we reach the students? So it was fun to collaborate.
Yeah. So you're not only all educators, but you've also been able to be educators together. That's exciting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And you're retiring from Harriman High School. Okay.
I taught 43 years ago at Santaquin Elementary. I was determined I wanted my kindergarten, and that was it. They were the ones that offered me a kindergarten. They were kind of booming then, and so I had a large number, 60-plus kids come through my 2 kindergartens, and I was the only kindergarten teacher. Loved it. Just literally loved it. Then I married, and we moved up here to this valley. I taught half a year at East Midvale Elementary and then had some health issues and had to quit. As the family started coming on, I didn't get back to teaching until my oldest daughter said, "Mom, you're wasting your education." And I went, "Oh my gosh, you sound just like your grandpa."
Yeah.
And so I did what I needed to, and I came back. And I interviewed all over this district, and I had just, you go by that gut feeling. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is Westvale. This is where, I started in West Jordan right here. All right. So I said, okay, I'll interview with Kathy Writing. And Kathy Writing said, I walked in and I said, I was the first 6th grade class here. And she says, really? Well, how does this school feel? And I said, it feels great. It feels like I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And over the last 15 years, I would not have gone anywhere else. I loved it. Taught kindergarten, and then Brenda Anderson asked me to go to 1st grade.
Yeah.
And then she asked me, before she left, to come back to kindergarten. And I was like, oh, yes. Oh, yes,
So you
of
got
course.
to end at Westvale in
Yeah.
kindergarten.
Yes, and I'm finally going to graduate kindergarten.
Well, congratulations. Wow, it's been a long journey.
Yes, it
now,
has.
you said 43 years?
No, it was 43.
No, right,
oh,
but
yeah.
from St. Santaquin.
Yeah, since Santa Quinn.
So 43 years. That's the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking. Just had to put a number to that. Now, we're here,
I'm a little bit old.
because we're here at Westvale, I actually have this binder that has a picture of you and your class. What year was that? What year was that?
I don't recall.
1967, 1968. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. I remember my teacher, Miss Olson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she was actually in our ward together.
Well, let's take a look there.
Okay. I am right there on the top row.
Do you look familiar there? Look at that. How about that?
I know. Short hair still.
Short hair?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of these people?
Actually, I did.
Tell me about them.
This one right here.
Yeah.
He was
What about
Mr.
him?
Peterson's. He was Mr. Peterson's son.
Big man on campus?
He was. He was. He loved basketball and everything. And then there was a group of us that when Mr. Peterson was giving us our math times tables and we were trying to beat each other's time, oh my gosh, so competitive. And I had no idea I was that competitive. It was crazy.
Wow. So did you beat him out?
Only once or twice.
Okay.
He
All
had,
right.
I mean, it was his father.
Yeah. Fair enough.
He
had
had
a bit of an
inside
advantage.
help. Yeah. Yeah. And then Evelyn is in there someplace. I did see Evelyn, but oh yeah.
Now wait, what
Oh,
grade
yeah.
would you have been in, Evelyn?
I would
Let's
have
take a look.
been third grade.
Third grade.
Third
All right,
grade.
let's turn back.
Okay, wait. These people
We're just
look
leafing
really
through those class
familiar.
pictures for those who are listening.
Uh-huh. There I am.
Oh, there she is. Look
oh
at
my
that.
word.
Is that a sweater vest?
No, we were. It was a dress.
Oh, it's a dress.
It was, that
Oh,
made it
yes.
look like there was a little shirt under it. And
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I have the groovy glasses going too, and the little. Look, my hair does kind of look the same. Dang.
We all got pixie cuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Except you.
Is Penny in here?
Penny, you should be in here. You were
Yes,
just a
and
couple.
Margaret
What?
should too.
So you would, if I was fourth, you would have been first.
Second.
No, second.
Second
Right,
grade.
second.
There I am, up at the
Yep.
top.
Oh, there
Right
she
up there.
is.
I got my little sailor dress on.
Your sailor dress.
I was going to say she didn't have the same haircut. She had a
No.
ponytail.
I had a little ponytail.
Do you remember the sailor dress?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. It is funny how we remember the outfit. When we come back, more from the sisters and their combined century in education.
Hello, I'm Tracy Miller, President of the Jordan School District Board of Education. There are 7 members on the Board of Education, 1 in each voting district. We are committed to listening and serving our constituents as we work together to provide the best possible learning environment for the students we serve. As members of the Jordan Board of Education, we believe it is our duty and responsibility to increase student achievement, provide parents with the choices they deserve and desire, recognize and reward quality in educators, empower school leaders through policy governance and professional development, and communicate with the public, legislators, business leaders, cities, and parents. We invite you to get to know the board member who represents you in your voting district. And please join us at our monthly board meeting held on the 4th Tuesday of every month, or listen from the comfort of your home on our live stream. For more information and to find your board member, visit jordandistrict.org. With parent and community input and support, we will continue our work to give students every opportunity to succeed in Jordan District schools and beyond. Thank you for your support. We look forward to seeing you soon.
What made you all retire at the same time, the 3 of you? What was the impetus for that happening? Who's responsible? Because we're losing you all at once.
Well, I'm finally old enough, 65, so that I can start getting insurance
Okay.
another place. So, and I was carrying the insurance for my husband, so just hanging in there and just getting enough years in. So.
And Penny, is it just coincidence that you decided to retire at the same time?
I just felt like I had reached 40, and that was my max.
Fair
Magical
enough.
number.
Yeah, I'd say 4 decades, you've earned it. And
I didn't know if I ever wanted to retire, to be very honest with you. And then my husband said, "Now, Kathy, we're going to retire together, and we'll have lots of fun gardening and whatever." And I'm like, "Oh boy!" And so he retired this year in March, the end of March, and so I'm following suit like he asked. I'm like, you know what? This is a good year to go out on. It really is.
I thought it was because I made retirement look so wonderful.
yeah, well, now
And we were
you've,
so envious. Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's right. Now you've forged the path. So
That's it.
what is your advice?
Oh, my gosh.
Retire for a year and then go back to work?
Yeah, you might need a break.
Okay.
You might need a break from retirement. I think I need a break from retirement.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
yeah, might have another year in me. But, you know, we were looking at this. We kept adding up years and adding up years, and we finally came up with, between Dad and all of us, we have 148 years in Jordan School District.
Wow.
And then between the other years that were taught, it's just over 155 years in education.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're all grateful so many of them were in Jordan School District. Tell me about your dad.
Oh my gosh, he was one of those teachers. I watched him do this a few times. He loved his team. I mean, he had a great math team, but they were such pranksters. I mean, he would go along, and all of a sudden, I'd walk down the hall with him, and all of a sudden, he'd just lean over and flip off the lights in somebody's classroom. And I'd hear, "Mr. Quilter, turn those lights back on," you know, because they all knew what he would be doing. When you didn't win in the drills on math, I'm shocked.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, Dad drilled us.
We drilled.
We were lined up.
We know
And
our times table.
flashcards.
We don't need a calculator.
Oh, no. And you know, he was the man that he would just say, "Just read me the scores." At the end of the quarter would come, and he'd go, "Just read me the scores." And we'd read him the scores out of the book for a name, and he never used a calculator. Of course, we had one over there because we wanted to prove him wrong. And he'd say, "Okay, this is the amount."
And he'd add it in his head.
And he'd had it in his head. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what the heck? You really can do this, can't you? So,
Well, he was a mentor to us because we would come home from college and we would sneak in and sit in the back of his classroom and we would observe him and how he went about teaching and how his fairness with the students, how he talked to them, how he was stern, but they were able to joke and learn in that environment. He was a mentor to all of us.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he ever thought all of us would stay in teaching as long as we did.
Yeah.
Because I remember him telling me, I mean, he was born in 1931, so it's the old, you get married, you have kids. And so when we were all starting to go to college, he's like, and we're going, eventually we'll go into education. And he's going, well, that's okay. That's a good one to fall back on. So, you know, if you graduate, you graduate. If you don't, you don't. But if you graduate and something happens to your husband and you can't work or whatever, then you can fall back on teaching. It wasn't that he thought it was going to be our life profession.
148 years
I
later,
know,
however many,
I know.
yeah.
And so, but he was, you know, I mean, for me, I felt like I found the gift I was given. I loved teaching.
Yeah.
And I would do it again if I could go with the wisdom that I have now and all the tools. I don't want to start out as a brand new teacher with nothing in my tool belt because, I'm sorry, those first-year teachers, they might have tricks, but wisdom comes from a lot of experience, trial and error, and pain and anguish. If you don't think you're going to get that, then you're in the wrong profession.
Tell me what you've liked most about teaching.
The lights coming on in their eyes. When you see a student that finally you've worked and worked and suddenly they get it. I had one student, I have to tell this.
Yeah.
I have one student, he could not get 0 plus anything is going to be that number, right? He couldn't get the 0.
Yeah.
secret. And I worked and worked and worked, and finally I was like, okay, Scott, what is 10 plus 0? 10? Oh my gosh, I think you've got it. And I said, you've got a 3-day weekend coming. I'm going to check you Monday morning. I'm going to check you and see if you've got it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Monday came, and I said, Scott, what's 1 plus 0? 1. What's 10 plus 0? 10. What's 100 plus 0? 100. And I said, Scott, I'm going to pick something really hard. What is 1 million plus 0? 1 million. Oh my gosh, you've got it! And the whole class is cheering.
Yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I thought 10 plus 0 was 100, so I've learned something. I've learned something. Penny, what did you love most about teaching?
I think I have loved, because special ed, and some of the students, we start with them in 10th grade, and then I might have them in 11th grade and 12th grade. I have enjoyed seeing that progression through 10th, 11th, and 12th, the development, the growth, to see where they were, and to have conversations with the students about, do you remember 10th grade and where we were, and look at you now in 12th grade. I have enjoyed watching that development.
And having students 3 years in a row, you're able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And the relationship that's developed in those 3 years.
sure. Evelyn.
Well, I agree with Penny. I think that, especially in high school, relationships are just a little more adult. A little bit, but a little more adult. But I think with all of that, I mean, through my teaching, I'm one of those, let me give you a bit of wisdom. Let me give you a little bit of wisdom today, a little bit more. Let's talk about how your life could pan out and what you need besides school. So I would give students bits of wisdom. And I love the fact that I have run into so many students since then that have graduated, and they'll go, yeah, Mrs. Mars, you were right. You were right. I listened to you. This happened to me, and I thought, this is what Mrs. Mars told us would happen, and this is what we should do. I listened to you. And they thank me, and I'm like, okay, everything was worth it. All the pain, the anguish, the tears, the prayers, the beat my head against the wall, it's all worth it.
That's very rewarding to hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Margaret.
Well, I teach family and consumer science, and I think the thing that I found so enjoyable is that I'm teaching the students life skills that they're going to use the rest of their life, and their lab classes, and maybe classes that some students excel at, math or English or, science. Maybe they're not so sharp with the hands-on, and then I have other students that are more hands-on, and they excel, and they progress, and it's their time to shine. And it's just wonderful to see the skills developed with the foods and child development, with clothing and sewing, and that's been very rewarding to see that.
So what are your plans now? What happens now that you've retired from such great careers? And, I mean, you have a few days left, but what's ahead for you?
I think we're going to connect with each other more. Mm-hmm. We haven't, even though we're in the same valley, we're so busy, we've been so busy that we haven't spent as much time as we want to with each other. And I think connecting with our families, grandkids, and setting our own time schedule when to get up in the morning,
Do you need a recording of the bell from school to kind of set your day? Because I think we could arrange for that if you'd like.
I don't
kind of
think
wean
so.
you off of it gradually.
I don't think so. I think we're going to be okay.
Okay. Go cold turkey, aren't you? Right. Now you talk cold turkey. You're ready to just shut it down. Okay, fair enough. When I first went to the district office and there were no more bells to guide my day, I'd stand up every once in a while and just kind of walk out to the door of my office, and my administrative assistant would say, "The bell just rang, didn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yep, it did. So if you do that, you're not alone. Now, when we walked in, we're in Kathy's classroom. How long has it been since you've been in Kathy's classroom?
Never.
Never in Kathy's classroom?
We've never been in Kathy's. She's never been in ours.
No.
Oh, I think
Mark
I've
room.
been, Kathy, I've been
Have you
here
been
in
here?
one of your classrooms, but I don't know if it was this exact room.
It was probably the one across the hall.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
the bigger one. When I came back
Yeah.
from first grade to kindergarten, this is the room they put me in. And I love it. I mean, it's big enough. Westvale's got such it's a weird layout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spider with legs.
It is a different kind of school, that's for sure.
But no, we don't really get to each other's classrooms. Like I said, when Penny and I were with each other teaching at Riverton, we were in each other's rooms all of the time. And I've been over to Harriman a few times, but otherwise, no. That's why we are not as connected
Yeah.
as we'd like to be. And I think we all kind of like each other now. Maybe not so much growing up, but I think we kind of like each other and we like
Yeah.
each other's company. So that will be kind of nice to do
That's
more
awesome.
things together.
Well, I'm very grateful for the 150 years that your family has given to Jordan School District, and I know many, many students and families are as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Supercast. Remember, education is the most important thing you'll do today. We'll see you out.